Welcome back, Dunamis Woman. Today, I am Michelle Obasi. I'm here as the guest host, but guess who I have as a guest? Pastor D.
Girl, I had to put my
Collins.
jeans. I had to
Don't put your jeans.
keep my jeans on.
Keep your jeans on. We have been talking, and it's been powerful because I had some questions about prayer. I want us to be healed as a people. I'm talking about women, men, black, white, whomever. I want us to be healed as a people. I want us to be the agents that God called us to be. You know, the kingdom, he put us here on earth to reign. Mm-hmm. Many of us don't know our authority. Many of us do not know when you talked about, you take authority over this, you take authority over that, communion with God through our prayers. Prayer is worship. See, that's a whole nother show. I might talk to you here, but prayer is worship.
Another show.
I want to talk about, we were talking about the historical aspects of prayer, and we left off with it's preventive. Talk to me about preventive measures of prayer. Let's dive into that, because many of us are reactive people anyway. We don't even react until something happens. But to be preventive, you got to have a mind. You got to have a certain type of mind. You got to have a critical thinking type mind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Reactive
you don't have
to.
You don't have to. First of all, you don't have to have a critical thinking mind. You just have to face reality.
Okay, let's talk about it.
First of all, many of us are in denial. We're in denial.
Okay.
Reality is we're all jacked up.
True that.
Reality is, I don't care if you're a black woman, white woman, blue woman, polka dot woman, your children are going to encounter and deal with stuff you don't deal with.
Most definitely.
I don't care who you are. You could be rich as I don't know what, you can make as much money, and you might not ever need no money. But is that going to save your children?
So let me clarify. You're saying if I don't deal with my lust issues.
No, what I'm saying is that it will be ludicrous of you to think, I don't care how much you could be rich as I don't know what. But and you could give your child everything she asks for. But it'll be ludicrous for you to think that she's not going to face any life challenges and attacks.
Okay.
It's because it's a part of life. It ain't got nothing to do with you.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I ain't never been raped nor molested. But that don't mean it did not happen to my daughter. I did everything that I could do, and I still do, to give them the best. Preventively. Does that make sense?
It does.
They never took the bus nowhere. They always was driven or walked to school. I did make them walk to school. But realistically, I'm only so much in me. So when that took place, I'm like, God, what is it? Because God said I got a call for her. So things is going to come that my money couldn't buy. Some things going to come that I just can't prevent. Does that make sense? So she had to have been attacked in that area to also be able to touch with the feelings of somebody else's infirmities, but realistically, she had to feel it for more prevention as well. It's a two-edged sword. Okay. Does that make sense?
It does.
The prevention is that the curse is broken. Okay. Everybody has that mandate. So you can't protect your daughter from everything. She got to go through something. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. But in my prayer, just look how much worse it could have been.
Had you not?
Had I not. He could have killed her. Prayer prevent her mind from not going all the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Prayer keeps her sane when she don't even know she's sane. Prayer keeps her focused when she don't even know how to get focused. Does that make sense? So think about it. We always praising God for what he's done.
Yeah.
Can you praise him for what you don't know about that he prevented? Does that make sense? When I think about what God prevented that I don't even know about, some things he don't even want me to know. Because if he had showed me what he prevented in my life, that the enemy had trapped for me, it'd probably kill me. You understand what I'm saying? The fear of it would kill me.
Right.
He died that I would never experience hell. I'm so glad that he ain't let us go to hell and say, okay, pray, I'm coming, I'm intervening. Come. No, he died that I would never experience that. It's a preventive measure. So what did he do? He went to hell for me. I go to hell for somebody else to prevent for them. To take the keys of death, hell, and the what? Grave through my prayer with power on purpose. Some things may happen, but I prevent it by my authority in prayer. But it don't mean your life gonna be squeaky clean. Does that make sense?
And that's where a lot of us are so disillusioned.
We want a perfect
we are
life.
So disillusioned that it's going to be perfect, and we do everything. And I think that's why a lot of us pray for material things, because we think that that's going to make us, shield us from life circumstances.
Well, the world, the Bible, that's why Romans, Paul was talking to the Romans, and they were high-minded people. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? See, we just look at the book and we just, they were high-minded people that was fortified in their minds. So that's why he said in Romans 12:1 and 2, and particularly 2 I'm speaking now, he said, and be not conformed. He was talking to them to this world. High-minded people are conformed to the cosmos of this world. Mm-hmm. High-minded people like stuff to keep their minds fortified. Mm-hmm.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. High-minded people like to look good so everybody can worship them.
Okay.
That's why this world system, we go running after Hollywood stars. We go running after people, and the only thing they're doing is making you spend money to make them richer. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Then somebody asks you to buy a book for $5.
You ain't got it.
I ain't got it. Which is going to give you some real nuggets. But if I was pimping you, like some people say, okay, give me $18 for this little bitty old book, because it wasn't any substance in it, they go for the fluff. Mm-hmm. Cosmos, that's what world means. World ain't, I smoke, I drink, I curse. That world is the cosmos of your mind. How you have really, this world have decorated things to look good for you, that you fall for that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
It does.
And it don't mean you can't have that, but how do you have it in your mind?
Let's talk about the world. Let's talk about, because our ancestors were afflicted. Mm-hmm. I think for God's glory to be revealed through us.
Correct.
Let's talk about the world system and how it has damaged or just taken away that power of prayer. I know they took prayer out of school.
Correct.
I'm not going down that route, but there are so many things that we just don't even know that are against us.
Well, our prayer comes from the deep place of right now, I could think about one thing, and tears start swelling up in my eyes. Mm-hmm. That's prayer. I ain't said nothing. Mm-hmm. But I talk about my mother in this book. She was a powerful woman. Mm-hmm. But when I think about what she went through, that I may live, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I could go into worship. Mm-hmm. I don't need an instrument. I don't need anybody to pump me pray. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. See, that's where the supplication come from. Many of us are so self-absorbed, we don't want our mind to go there. Many of us think about it. I hear so many people, my kids will never struggle. Because I struggle. That's stupidity.
It is.
Now, I'm not saying they had to suffer. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Some of them need to learn how to struggle, because it'll make them appreciate it.
Right.
But out of our pain, we give them everything. Mm-hmm. I worked to buy a car. Mm-hmm. That don't mean I give you one.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Our future generations don't even know what it is to really work. Kids come out of college now, they want to make what people been making on their job for 50 years. Mm-hmm. Because they think because they got a degree, they supposed to make $35 an hour. And they don't know jack. A degree don't teach you how to handle problems in the community. A degree don't teach you how to handle situations in a business. Right. But everybody want to make 60, 70, 80, 90,000, and everybody want to be millionaires and billionaires. Mm-hmm. Now we talking about trillionaires. Can you manage the thousandaire? Mm-hmm. Many people can't even manage a hundreds.
100 air, right? A 10 air.
A 10 air. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we got these big grandiose thinking. Mm-hmm. And that's what it was talking about in Romans 12:3. Don't think too highly of yourself. Sit down and learn some substance. Mm-hmm. Just because, I tell all women, you want a king, but are you a queen?
Right. Exactly.
A queen knows how to strategically move in warfare. Mm-hmm. That's what the book is talking about. Warfare. Mm-hmm. For the king that God has called him to be. Well, he ain't no king. That's because that's what you see him derogatively. Mm-hmm. God said, I'm the King of kings, Lord of lords. Mm-hmm. All of us have that potential, but I got to see it from a preventive measure through my prayer that destruction won't continue, that he may see himself the way he is. Not talk about it, but supplicate, intercede on his behalf. God, open up his eyes to truth. Mm-hmm. God, open it up. I can stay right there just and I don't need to ask no more. God, open up his eyes, because when I think about how blinded he is, when I think about how puffed up he is, when I think about what it's doing not only to me, but what it's doing to our children, what it's doing to our society, and our men are lost. I could go into a travail right there, because I'm seeing it from a futuristic standpoint. If something don't happen, what's going to happen when we're gone?
Right.
What's going to happen?
Right.
So my prayers is, even if I don't see it now, I know that they're going to still live by that.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Exactly.
Our eyes got to be open to reality that is jacked up. I am not satisfied with 80% of the households being ran by single mothers. I don't care how much your degree is, how much money you make, and how much our children need their father. I talk about that in the book. You slept with the man. You chose to sleep with him. Just because they got a stepdaddy don't mean your mission is over with for the man you slept with, because you still got a product of him, and that's your son. That's your daughter.
I want us to take a break, and I want us to come back.
I forgot if we had part 1 or part 2.
I don't even know either, but we're going to take a break.
We're going to take a break.
I was sitting here thinking like, are we on part 1 or 2? Because it's powerful. Let us take this break. And if it's the closing of the show, goodbye. But if it's not, let's take this break and we'll be right back.
Dunamis Woman and Real Awesome Men magazine is not just a publication that empowers you to break through barriers for great success, but we are a magazine that supports the mission of other organizations. So I am so happy for our fall 2014 issue, which is a special edition strictly for the Schaumburg Business Association. And we are coupling up with Alzheimer's Association to support their mission and their cause. Alzheimer's is something that affects many families all around the world, whether it's your mother, your grandfather, your grandmother, or your father. And it really is something that most people really hold dear to their heart. And so we want you to help us support Alzheimer's Association by going to our website and buying a single issue for a low cost of just $6.95. That's just $6.95 that you could help us give back to Alzheimer's Association. So visit www.dunamis-woman.com and get your copy today.
Welcome back. We are here. See, it wasn't the end, so thank you for coming back.
Right.
We are here. Dunamis Woman today, Michelle Obasi with the one and only Pastor D, the pastor of Change of Life Leadership Institute, where we have School of Life. It's a school about teaching us how to apply God's Word. We've been talking about how to pray with power on purpose, a book that she has written, and it's a guide that we use just in our daily living. Also the Word of God, and just really dissecting the Word, dissecting it for application purposes. We have been talking about historical perspective of prayer. We have been talking about how Big Mama used to do it, and we're not taking it for granted. We're not putting people back into domestication, but there were certain ways and things, as my grandmother used to say, how we got over. And not got over on somebody, but how we came through and got through. There were, our ancestors had a sense of faith. They had a faith that was just unmeasurable. It talks about it in Hebrews, but just talking about how people didn't see it in their generations, but they knew it was going to come for another generation. I want to talk about warfare. That's where we ended. You were talking about warfare. You were talking about just how you see how men need to be healed. We need to be healed as families, and you're praying for that future. We're so ignorant. We're just so ignorant. We think we give our child everything that we didn't have. We fail to realize what we did have, but we fail to realize when we give our child everything, the principalities and the demonic forces and the antagonists and the different things that come with that.
And that's what the enemy wants us to do.
That's what the enemy wants us to do. Let's talk about warfare. Let's talk about what is warfare. A lot of us don't even know. We talk about it. We get a book. I ain't going to say the authors. We get all these little books and people telling us to buy this and do that and cast down and wah. Come on with it. Talk to me. I want truth to be revealed today about warfare. Because you told us earlier, when you bind things, you're knitting them together. And so a lot of us thinking we praying warfare and we say, I bind the da-da-da-da-da. We're just getting it, making them stronger. Talk to me about warfare.
A woman's womb is made to war.
Okay.
But my warfare is not just because I'm carrying things, it's what I do with it when I get up. For instance, let me just say, I carried my children. Every mother carried their child. But when the child came out is when your warfare began.
Most definitely.
Particularly, we like the baby stage, the infant stage. The warfare start with when they start talking and saying no, and we got to train their minds. Many of us don't know how to train their minds by teaching people how to act. Does that make sense? And not just telling them what to do, but they got to act accordingly. So, why can't I touch this vase? It's not because I'm going to break it. Many of them get whooped because they're going to break the vase. You see what I'm saying? But if you break the vase, you can get cut.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I want you to hold the vase, Johnny boy, but if you really play with it in the wrong way, it could break and hurt you. That's life. Just this analogy that I'm using is about life. So now how can I do this and let it build me up and still see the beauty and the art of what I have? That's the art of warfare. I came up old school, so I love talking about with mothers, my grandmothers and women that's 80 and years old or whatever. They acted according to what they believe. I believe it's a man who had a great movement, Smith Wigglesworth.
I've heard of him, most definitely.
He had a great, powerful movement of healing and deliverance. But people fail to realize how he got there. He used to treat his wife before he got saved. She used to go to church. He would say, "Don't you go to that church." If she went anyway, she still went anyway, he would make her sleep outside. He put her through hell. But that woman kept on coming back. She slept on the porch, but she would not give up. She slept outside, but she would not give up. He treated her wrong, but her prayer, she would not give up. Does that make sense? She stayed on it. Most women be like this, nah. You know what I'm saying?
I promise you I'd have been up.
You know what I'm saying?
Real quick.
And I ain't got to take this. She took it. She took it. Why? Not because she was weak. She understood the art of warfare. The reason why that man was so powerful because of what she took and prayed and travailed and war. He was a manifestation of her warfare. Come on now. I hope you're getting this. I hope you're getting this. See, women now have lost the art of travail because we don't want to go through nothing.
That's true.
I ain't got to take this, We don't want to go through nothing. Now, I ain't saying you got to stay there and get your head knocked off. You see what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
But see, I realized when God told me my time was up, I didn't have to do anything. He removed them. A powerful woman don't have to do anything. He'll remove it. One woman went through, and I remember she went through, and her husband was so cantankerous, and he used to beat her, and when she came home, the man had just died in his sleep. He delivered her.
Wow.
God will, when you know your power on prayer, and you stay faithful, you don't have to do nothing. God will remove it. Because if you don't go through it and warfare properly, you're going to encounter another one. Because it comes to bring healing to you. It comes to build you up. Many women don't know how to skillfully war because they're in their own self. I ain't got to take this. I ain't got to do this. But a man is assigned to you to bring healing and deliverance. You just don't know what to do with it. It's not because you just stay prayer, and get frustrated. You know how to continue to persevere, call those things that be not, and treat them according to how God says treat them. And a lot of times that makes them act worse.
So warfare, and correct me if I'm wrong, warfare is still proactive.
It's proactive.
But sometimes we think of warfare as reacting to the situation that we're in. But warfare in itself is still proactive.
And trusting God that He is my deliverer.
Okay.
He is my deliverer. You talk about prevention. Because of my prayer, I should be dead right now. But because I stayed faithful to Him, God, I could just use the prime example, Job. God pointed Job out to Satan.
Right.
Satan did not have permission to come and inflict Job. God said, have you considered, while you roaming and you lurking and you looking for somebody, I'm going to tell you who to go to. Go to Michelle. Go to D. Go to Job. And you're only going to do what I allow you and permit you to do. Now, you ain't going to kill him because I ain't going to permit you to, but I'm going to sure let you take him through. Job's wife wanted him to curse God and die, and she died because she couldn't go through with him. Many people you could bring death to because they can't go through with you.
Wow.
For a warrior. Does that make sense? That's why I have to watch who I couple up with. I have to watch who I marry. I ain't know it then. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I can't marry anybody. I can't bury a weak man of substance. Because based upon my life, he going to get a tax. Based upon my life, he going to get a host of Jezebels. You see what I'm saying? He got to be fortified in his mind. I may be walking this walk a long time. You know?
That's all right,
but
for
God
a little
is,
minute. For a little minute, not for long.
but God is faithful. You see what I'm saying? And it's okay. Regardless of it, it's okay. But Job was pointed out by God. He went through, ended up by himself. Many of us don't want to go through by ourselves.
Right.
That was my point of interjecting that joke. You see what I'm saying? We don't go, but then his friends was like, I love it. You know, they was, you know, challenging him and all this stuff. And he was complaining and he was doing all this and he was going back because a lot of us listen to our friends. But the bottom line of it, God told Job, he said, save yourself. You looking for me to do something? I gave you the power. And that's why he had, his latter days was better than his first, because now he knew who he was. Some things just come to us, but some things we got to fight for when we get to a certain period of time. Maturity, that's elders. Elders are not because you're 80 years old. It's mature people in God. Many of us been sitting up in this church for years. How long is it going to take for you to activate it? I don't understand. I just don't understand it. I went from elementary school to high school to college. It was a progression. And then I had to go out there and activate what I learned. People been in church for 20 years, still sitting there. What you have been hearing, what you've been learning, you got to activate it. And God going to take you through until you learn the art of warfare.
And you know what, a lot of it, as you're speaking, you said elementary school, but it's the level of submission and the level of obedience that gets you to that level.
You got
of where you...
Just from a spiritual perspective, I'm going to speak it from a natural perspective. And just to give the example, you got 50-year-old people sitting in elementary school, spiritually.
Most definitely.
They too scared to activate it because they don't want to go through the process of having to warfare. People who are, the art of warfare got to go through in order to learn the skill. You gotta, the attacks come to learn the skill. But realistically, we try to do it on our own. You got to be up under the right leadership. You got to be up under the right impartation of that. Does that make sense? Can't nobody put a demand on me until you tell me how you went through and came out. You can call yourself bishop, apostle, reverend, and you can put all titles on your name. I got folks who, I know I ain't got folks, but people got 5 titles. That don't move me. We got to stop getting moved on titles. Show me your wounds. Tell me how you came out. Okay, now I know this is the closing.
This is the closing.
Okay,
all right. I want to thank you. It's from the sincerity, because it's, you know, from the depths of my soul, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for the past 4 years, but I want to thank you for allowing me to go through this process of just questioning. That's important. That's called education.
It is. And you got about 5 pages here, so I think you're going to be back
people.
again. She's going to be back. Okay.
But I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here and tuning in to Dunamis Woman today. It's a powerful movement. It's not just a show, it's a movement. And it's a movement to free the minds of God's people so that we may be healed and delivered and be the agents that He called us to be. There's a preface. There was a book written about all of us before we were even formed and thought about, and that's my heart's and cry and desire, is that we all continue to move forward. Thank you, Dunamis Woman today, Michelle Obasi, the one and only Pastor D.
All right.
Enjoy.
Well, there you have it, a power-packed show that truly I did not mind Michelle to ask me questions. I believe that questions need to be asked in our home, in our church, in our community, and not just being told what to do when we really don't know how to do it. And if I was to change anything that I was doing as far as the name, it would be how to. How to lead, how to ministries, how to, because that's what we need to know. How to do what God has called us to do with specificity. So I am coming to you because, first of all, prayer is my life. I believe in it. I live by it. I don't flaunt it. It's just who I am. But I have seen it get so many results. And that's why I wrote this power-packed book, How to Pray with Power and Purpose. Now, let me say this to you. No, the book is not 100 and something pages because, first of all, it didn't need to be. I believe that, first of all, whatever God has for you and has for me, it doesn't take it long and drawn out. It needs to be clear, precise, with instructions. And that's why it's called a power tool. It's naked and not ashamed of my life. It's the prayer that you have to live by to be able to do it, to get results in your life. And that's why it's a power series. You could put it in your purse. You could put it at your desk. You could pick it up just when you need to refresh your memory about some things, because it's going to teach you how to execute. And when you're in the situation, when you're facing the circumstance, you oftentimes lose sight of what to do and how to do it effectively. That's why it's a power tool. So not only can Michelle ask me questions, I want you to ask me questions. I want you to get this book right here. It's literally $8.95, but I want you, because we had talked about on the show 2 or more. So when you purchase 2 or more, it's going to be $5 per book for 2 or more. Call me. I don't want you to go to the website, because I want you to call me to get that special deal for 2 or more. 1-855-BE-DUNAMIS, 1-855-BE-DUNAMIS, or 847-908-0650. You can use this book in your own home. You can use it with your daughters. You can use it in your church, with your ministry, with your women's ministry. You can do it wherever and use it for whatever you want. But I admonish you, because it is truly time to pray with power on purpose. I am Dee Collins, and I look to hear from you. Give me a call. I want to talk to you.
Woman.